This is a video I've been thinking about doing for over a decade. I've made something here in high school in, let's see, 11th grade. That would be 1983. And about 10 years after I made it, it got knocked off a shelf and broken. And so it'd be 92, about 92 I guess. And ever since then I've been meaning to rebuild it. It's been in storage. It was even lost for a while. It was found, put aside in the garage, brought into the house, and fast forward, present day, I decided, I have a grandson now, and I decided, this would be good to give to him, to give to my daughter, to use for him. It's a lamp, but there's a story behind this lamp, and I think some of you guys will find it interesting, especially guys like around late 30s, early 40s, late 40s, maybe even early 50s. I'm 57. I graduated in 1984 from a high school an arrow shot away from here, a couple arrows shot away from here, not far at all. I've lived all over the place, but this city is where I call home. So I'm going to rebuild this. I'm going to show you the steps for rebuilding it, but I want to tell you the steps about making it. Okay, here's how different the world was. Here's how different people were. And anybody my age can totally relate, and anybody younger is going to say, was it really this way? Here's how self and independent kids were. Took the initiative to use their common sense, to use their, what's the word I'm looking for? Their creativity. We were given projects in school, starting in 7th grade. 7th grade we used to have wood shop. 8th grade we had wood shop. All through high school we had wood shop. But you got up into high school days, you could also take metal shop back then. And I've always been good at making things with my hands. And through those teachers and those classes, they have paid for my entire life. They have kept me alive. They have kept me off the street. They have provided for me these skills that I learned in school. But let me just start off with a story, okay? Wood shop. I remember all their names too. All the kids' names, all the teachers' names. There was a teacher named Squires, Washington Junior High, 1978. Woodshop teacher, old guy, really knew his stuff. Now, 7th grader, you picture a 7th grader now versus a 7th grader then. 7th grader now, they know how to operate their phone. That's about all they know how to operate. Back then, we were taught and we were given permission and we were given the trust. And rarely was a kid ever hurt. We ran bandsaws, we ran skill saws, we ran table saws, we ran lathes. We, a forge, we melted metal, and us kids, the teacher was off doing whatever he's doing, poured molds, we made things. Now, a joiner, routers, drill presses, you name it, we did it. 7th grade and 8th grade. My mom still has some of the stuff I made in 7th grade. It's still used to this day. Then you get up into high school, even bigger shop. We had more things. We trained better. We were shown. They'd show us how to use it, tell us the rules. You obeyed the rules, otherwise you lost fingers, possibly lives. So, again, we had bandsaws. Oh, we had auto shop too. Auto shop, you could do stuff with your cars. But metal shop was my thing. Wood shop too. I can still see our metal shop jumping forward to high school, 11th grade. We had a metal shop teacher by the name of Sanchez. He was this big burly guy, ex-Navy guy. He had forearms like Popeye. We had a sheet metal bender, if you know what that is, the hand operated sheet metal bender. Now it's got a counterweight on the handle. So when you bring it up past zero and you come down, it's easier to bend the sheet metal. And he made certain projects. You couldn't work on your own until you made certain projects and showed him that you could use these machines. Well, Sanchez, he could grip, he could take that arm off with the counterweight, and that counterweight was a good, I'd say, 30 pounds, but as big around as a coffee can. He could take his hand, he could palm that thing and lift it up, turn it over, turn it back, set it down. And he said to his challenge to all of his kids, every single new class, any new kids came in, if any of you guys can ever do this, and this, and this, and this, I'll give you an A in this class, and you can go dig around the entire time, go to 7-Eleven, do whatever you want, and I'll mark you. Just show up here every day, and I'll mark you. But you can't, because he knew nobody could do that. He was cool. He really knew his stuff. Now, once you learn a wood lathe with the gouge and the skewer and skew, with the gouge and the skew and round head and all this, you can transfer that over to a metal lathe. Now, metal lathe, you're doing it with cranks. You're not able to hold it, of course. You're doing it with cranks, but it's the same basic. You put your tool rest just below the center. I know a lot of you guys aren't going to understand this, but those of you who do know lathes, you will. You put your lathe just below the center there, and you can bring it over and cut, and just anything you can imagine you can make. I made all kinds of things. And on the metal lathe, you're doing it too, but you got a tool bit, a cutter. Excuse me, you get the round head, or certain things, more like aluminum or steel, you usually got the pointed one, but then you got to have the chamfer right to throw the metal, to curl the metal. So you learn all these things. Well, Sanchez taught us for about 6 months, and then he retired. We came back from summer vacation to the next class, and there was a guy named Stump. Forget his first name, Mr. Stump. He was a cool guy, but he told us right off the bat, you know, I was thrown in here. I'm a physical ed and a social studies. I've got degrees in social studies and physical ed. I've been a physical ed teacher when needed, but they threw me in here. So any of you guys know how to run these machines, please help the new kids, and I'll take care of you. Well, I had the class before with Sanchez, so I knew lathe forwards and backwards by that time. 10th grade, I knew the lathe forward and backwards. Band saws. Now the mill, nobody knew anything about the mill. You didn't know anything about it. So I messed around with the milling machine. Not CNC, just the milling machine. And you got the bolt on the top, you gotta knock it, and you put that cutter up there, and the end mill's up there, and figure out the speeds. There's a book there for speeds for metals. Once you learn it, you can catch on pretty quick. Well, I learned how to use the mill, and there's another kid in there, Vince Marston. Yeah, Vinny. I went to school with his older brother. His older brother sort of disappeared. But Vince, he might even still be around here. I haven't seen him though. Last time I saw him, he was working at a pizza place 10 years after high school. But he could weld really good. So Vince taught the guys to weld. I taught the lathe, the mill, bandsaws, and the ins and outs of all the other machines. Had a rivet machine. You can make anything you wanted in there. And people did. From there, I looked in the Recycler, which is an old newspaper you could buy for ads before all this online came out. I bought myself a Shopsmith 5, $350. A guy in Santa Fe Springs. Oh man, it's so cool. Shopsmith, bandsaw, lathe, disc sander, router. I mean, it turns into all different things. It was a transforming machine. Anyway, fast forward. Stump saw what I was doing on the lathe, and he goes, man, I was making this. And he goes, man, that's beautiful. I don't know what it is, but it's really cool. And all the other kids were watching. Wow. And just out of my mind, I pictured this, making this lamp. Because you'd find scrap piece of steel, what you can make out of it. And I made these two things to go too, right? This is really interesting, okay? I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm taking you back. Taking you back. I thought, how could I get this to stand up, but have a flat bottom? So I start drawing things, and this is what I came up with. I got this, which is really cool. In my mind, this set me off. I conquered all kinds of block walls in my head, like milling machine. I'm thinking, the head tilts this way and this way. It doesn't tilt this way. I'm thinking, how can I hold that and make a 45 and repeat it? So I had the vise on there, and I'm thinking, maybe I can make myself a vise stop. Mind you, nobody showed me this. This is just out of my head. I didn't know no books. This is 1983. There was no online. There was no look it up on Google. There was no Google. And so I put a 45 in the vise, and I put this at a 45, and I ran through there and with blocks and stops, and I ran it through, and I learned you got to climb cut to get the smooth cut. If you come back the other way, it'd be a lot of time it'd move it out of the vise. You couldn't hold it tight enough. So you climb cut. This is 6061 aluminum, by the way. And it came out beautiful. I'm thinking, this is awesome. You can see the cuts. I'm thinking, this is really cool. I had no idea there were other people doing this. And so then I thought, how am I going to hold it? Oh, so I put the 45, and I drilled a hole here, and I had a little card. It said, drill this size, pilot drill, then drill another size, like say a quarter 20, you want a quarter 20. You drill like number 10, then you drill number 7, and then you put your quarter 20 tap through there, and it'd come out perfect. It'd be like, yeah, smooth. If you don't have that card, you're kind of guessing. It's kind of rough, and a lot of times your bolts are going to be really tight and not going the same depth every time, or they're going to be really loose. So there's a pattern between all the madness. And I thought, how am I going to have that cord come out? So I tapped this, and I tapped that. Now, drilled through there. I drilled through the center. I'll show you close-ups. But after I did all this work, I put the tap on there and tapped it. I tapped it right on the lathe by hand, which was, I thought, wow, I'm probably the only one doing this. But later did I notice that everybody in the machine shops, machine industry is doing it too. I stumbled upon it by trial and error. So I tapped that, drilled all the way through, then tapped it, and then I milled this out. I just put that in the vise and molded up against it. Then I milled this channel. So when this is in here, that channel, you got your cable. Your cable can come through here, go up there, and it can, oh yeah. And then I mill this out. So this nut, now there's another thing. In my 16, 17-year-old mind, I never thought I could go to the hardware store and buy myself the nut and hold it and mill it to size. No, I didn't think of that. I'm thinking nuts are going to be too big where I'd have to go too deep. I break out the other side. I didn't want to break out. So I'm thinking, I'm going to have to make my own. So I made my own nut. And this is out of coral steel. So this goes on here. When this nut tightens up on there, it leaves, this channel leaves enough for this to come out. Works out perfect. Now, I'm thinking again. How could I place this with the screws? First I was thinking the screw heads I'd use these round heads, and when the screws are in there, it'd sit, boom, on there. But then I'm thinking, nah, that's gonna be scratching the wood. If I put it on a wooden table, nice oak table or something, it's gonna be scratching it. And I thought felt. I thought, nah, I don't want to go through all that because then if I have to remove it. So, what I did, I used 1032 flathead screws, Allen head screws. I drilled and countersunk it. 16 years old. You got to give me some credit for this. This is before the internet, guys. And boom, I'm thinking, man, it's smooth. So, flashing forward again. You got this on here. You got this on here. Oh wait, sorry about that. You got this here. You got this on here. You got this here. And then you got these screws. Thinking this is awesome. So one of the projects in 8th grade to make a lamp, to teach you all the basics on all the different machines. Table saw, you'd cut this, I think it was 2x2 or 3x3 mahogany block, and you'd use a square drill. Yeah, it's a square drill. It's a drill inside of a casing. Square drill down through the center, and you make a lamp. And it was an old pump, like a well pump, like you see on Gunsmoke or Big Valley or anywhere on Bonanza. You pump the well. Well, you pump it, had a brass. Let's see, where is the? You'd have the light fixture on there, and it wasn't this type. It was the pull cord that you'd hang over a head, but the chain came down to the handle. So you turn the lamp on. Both of my brothers made those. I didn't make that in woodshop because they both made them. Well, my older brother made one, so my mom had one, so she didn't need that. So I made something else. I made a set of bowls, wooden bowls, really cool. And then later on, my other brother moved out, took his lamp with him. So my younger brother made my mom that lamp. But I went to buy this at the local hardware store, and the guy goes, "Is this for school?" "Yeah." "Well, you need the pump lamp." I said, "No, that's Squire's. I'm with Snora." He goes, "Oh, what's this lamp look like?" And I told him about it. He goes, "That's pretty cool. Bring it in and show me when you're done." Well, this goes on here. This lamp comes up. This goes on here. And then I got a shade. I'll show you the shade I ordered off Amazon. Killer. It's going to be great for my grandson. But it's got a clip and boom, just goes on there. But I got some epoxy this time. I'm going to put a little bit of epoxy. No, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not. I was going to put epoxy in here. But no, I'm not. I'm going to save this epoxy for something else. So I'm just going to put this all together and show you the lamp. These are split, boom, boom. They'll go through here. They'll come up through here. They will go through this. This has a set screw. Will set right in there and clamp. And then this one goes on here. One goes on here. This goes down over it. That'll nest down into there. You won't be able to see any wires except for coming out. That's it. It's really cool. Now, it's aluminum and the red. You're going to say, why red? Well, that's what I painted it in high school, and it's been that way ever since. This, as a matter of fact, this, I sprayed it all red, and it was spinning on the lathe, and I sprayed it so it was on there. And then I took Scotch-Brite, real fine Scotch-Brite, and I tucked it certain spaces. So it was red, white, red, red, silver, red, silver, red, silver. It was like a mirror finish back then. But I want to do something different this time. I'm going to leave the red just because that was a 16-year-old hand that put that on there. And she can hand that down. I can hand that to my daughter. My daughter can hand it to my grandson. But the lampshade, it's cool. And I went with the brass, just because, the antique brass, just because it looks cool. So let me put this together. I'll get you a few pictures, put it together, and you'll see what it looks like. But let me tell you about my metal shop. Okay. Say this table is the floor layout. The door coming in to the classroom was here. Auto shop was on that side of the wall. Electronics on that side of the wall. Wood shop was across the hall. Came in this way. Right over here you had all your lockers. We had lockers. We'd keep all of our stuff in there, our projects. In the back, far wall over there was the forge where we could pour molten aluminum. I made a handle for a knife of a power hacksaw blade. It's cool, but it ended up breaking. It's real brittle metal. I hate that phone. You had your bandsaw over here. You had your folding metal, your metal folders over here. You had the classroom over here. You had the seats where the movie projector, whenever we were going to show something or sit down to call roll, talk about what was going on. In the back, you had the welding. You had the arc welding. We had an arc welder back there. We had a heliarc welder, but nobody knew how to use it, and they didn't have the right setup, so it didn't get used. But we had an arc welder, 2 of them, and we had 8 gas welders. And then we had the mill. We had 3 lathes. All of our metal stock. We had we had a few other things. But that was the basic of the class. So he'd call roll and everybody goes and gets their projects and goes to, but a lot of people spend a lot of fielders that was next to fielders, a lot of fielders take shop classes because it's an easy class grade. They just don't exceed in it. They don't use it to their benefit. Well, I used it to my benefit, and I learned a bunch of stuff. And I worked aerospace, Northrop. I worked at Northrop ASD, Advanced Systems Division, Stealth Bomber. I worked Northrop El Segundo. I worked Boeing. I worked McDonnell Douglas. I worked aerospace. I worked Applied Composites. I've worked all over the place in aerospace, and it all stems from what I learned in school. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Let me show you a few things. Now, not only were the schools different, but society was different. His society was different. I went to, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade at a place called Sierra Vista. Sierra Vista's on Whittier Boulevard. Whittier and Palm, which is about 3 miles to the northeast of here, in between Harbor Boulevard and Brea Canyon, right below old Nike base. Gotta remember to put that through there first. Now your screws are going to go clockwise, so you always bend those in the direction you want it to turn. Put it in through that. So when you grab it and tightens, it's sucking the, he said sucks. It's sucking the wire into it. Now, when I went to that school, my mom and dad said, that's pretty far from here. There's no buses that run over there. Well, my dad worked, and my mom couldn't take me every day. So what they did is they drove me to the school, and then they showed me different ways to get home, which was, I could go all the way down Whittier, down Palm, down Harbor Boulevard, and back down to Harbor. But there were different ways, That's another thing. Kids were really, hold on a second. Kids were really more self-reliant. a lot of you would say, oh, no, they weren't. Yeah, they were. We were. So they took me there and they showed this to me once or twice. And then what I did is every day I came home, I'd take a different route. There's all kinds of side streets. Some were dead ends. But had little adventures on the way home. Past a creek, stopped and catch some pollywogs, some crawdads. So it made it fun. So I rode my bike, had my backpack on, then I had a chain going around like this with my padlock. And I remember my padlock was 235. I still remember the combination. An old Huffy lock. 235. But lock our bikes up and go to class. Afterwards, come home. A lot of fun. But what we did as kids is we did a lot of fishing. So we'd ride our bikes all over this area. You figure, would you let your 6th, 7th grade year old kid go on a bike, sun up, and come back before dark? Not nowadays. Nowadays you can't. But back then you could, and they did. And we'd go all the way down to, there's a tackle store called Dale's Hackle and Tackle, which is now Orvis. You figure from where I am, Whittier Boulevard in Palm, rode my bike at 6th, 7th grade all the way down to Orvis, which is Orangethorpe and Magnolia. Finding our way there, finding our way back, just to buy a few flies, a handful of flies or lures. And you may be thinking to yourself, how did you learn this lamp stuff? Putting it together, wiring it. It's all trial and error. Look at that. I'm talking to you guys, and I forgot to put it through there. Let me stop this. Okay. 3rd time's a charm. Okay, that's tightened up, that's tightened up. Now, that's tightened up. Let's see if it goes down a little bit more. There it is. So it comes through here. The wire cord comes through and then zips up this way, and the nut goes on, forcing it to travel in the canal. And that canal, it's matched by that hole. It lines up like that. Now, there's one way this fits perfect, and the other ways it's kind of off. But you know what? Right there. So I got my set screws. My key. I did all this by hand, all these holes and everything, so it's not exact. Only in one position it's exact, and I think I got it. I think I got lucky. The way these holes are chamfered, got the angles to match the screws. I believe on a 1032, I believe it's 60 degrees. I believe he uses 60, yeah, he uses 60 degree or 45. 60. 1032. You might be able to get either, but you might be able to buy either offset on the head, but I believe these are 60. Anyway, so as the screw tightens down, the chamfers match and it can move. It can shift it. So I tighten them up the same. So just in case I'm off, but I don't think I'm off. I think I got lucky. I got first time. So these screws are actually below the surface, probably 15 thousandths below of an 15 thousandths of an inch below a human hair. Boink is about 4 thousandths, 4 to 7 thousandths. Now you split that hair, fillet a hair into 7. Make 6 cuts, make 7 pieces. That's a thousandths. A piece of paper, average paper, is 4 thousandths. Split that paper, fillets, 4 pieces, that's 1 thousandths. So this is about 15, 20 thousandths. Now, where I work, we deal with tenths, which is take a piece of paper, slice that into 4 pieces. You got 4 pieces, 1 thousandths each. Piece of paper, notebook paper. Now you slice that each of those one, slice that into 10. That's tenths. A lot of the things that we make for aerospace are plus or minus 2/10 of an inch, or they're bad. This is 20 thousandths. This is a hand grenade. So, you got this. Let me plug this in. Make sure it works. Woo! Let there be light, and there was. It's got these different clicks because you got, but this bulb's not made that way. This is the one side bulb. So, this is going to go to my grandson. My grandson's name is Isaac, and he's about 8 months old now. And I'm going to show you the head on it, the lampshade that I bought for it. I bought another one. I bought this one, but it's smaller than I thought. I ordered it online, and it won't accept a regular bulb. You have to buy a small bulb for it. I don't want a small bulb. I want a regular bulb. But this would have been cool. But the other one I bought, this is 5 inches at the bottom, 3 inches at the top, 5 inches high, 5 by 5 by 3. Now the one I ordered is 5 by 9 by 10. So it's going to be a bigger shade. It's for his changing, for when he wakes up in the middle of the night and he wants to eat or whatever. You know, this is, my daughter can reach over and click. It's going to be for him. Now, one more thing, a little bit more about how times have changed. A bunch of guys around here, we'd all meet and go on bikes and go further and further, make homemade torches out of pallets and rope, stuff we'd see in movies, stuff we'd see on Land of the Lost, sleet stacks, the torches. We went down the tunnels underneath with torches. We all were armed with slingshots. They had these marksman slingshots. They're all there, I believe. You could buy them. They were like a Y slingshot. They had a hole in there with the crosshairs. It was just all for looks and gimmicks to get people to buy them, but they're pretty cool. Then they came out with the wrist rockets. We had wrist rockets, slingshots, BB guns, pump, Daisy. I had an El Dorado, pump, Daisy. My brother had a Crossman. My other brother had a Cock and Crossman, Daisy pistol also, that could take darts, pellets, or BBs. Anyway, we'd go down in the undergrounds, we'd explore, make maps. We really thought we were doing something. I wonder if any of these other guys doing this, I wonder if any of them remember this stuff and talk about this stuff with their friends and family. But our fishing route, look on a map, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I lived by Sonora High School at the time, in La Habra, by Sonora High School. Now look at a map and see where we rode, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. We rode from here to Brea Canyon, to Carbon Canyon Lake. We'd have 5-gallon buckets. We'd catch fish. Our lake of choice, our hometown lake, was Laguna Lake in Fullerton, Bassin and Cherry. Laguna Lake, which is 150 something years old, and it was original watering place for cattle and sheep, and watering the avocado groves and the orange groves, but it turned into a lake, and it's been a lake ever since. Nothing like it was when I was a kid, though. But we'd catch fish from all other lakes on our bikes and bring on our bikes half a bucket of water all the way back, and we'd stock this lake. Now we Carbon Canyon, we'd hit Tri-City in Yorba Linda, Placentia, Brea. That's why it's called Tri-City on Kramer. Then we'd come down and we'd go up over the hill over Kramer. We hit Bass and Cherry, take Bass and Cherry all the way down, flying. You're going 40, 50 miles an hour on a bike. It's a big hill. And I put my car in neutral and see how fast I could go, and it's like 57 miles an hour. It's fast. Big hill. But we'd be flying, scared to go full speed, be hitting the brakes, tapping the brakes, tap, tap. All the way down, because you wipe out with that bucket, which my friend Doug did. My friend Wayne did too. Wipe out with your bucket and spill all the fish. But we'd ride all the way back and dump them. So here's our lakes. Carbon Canyon, Tri-City, Craig Park on Central, on right there, I forget what it's called. State College Imperial, State College. And then from there, La Mirada Regional, way over there, Los Coyotes on Rosecrans, Laguna. So we had Laguna, Los Coyotes, La Mirada Regional, Tri-City, Craig Park, and Carbon Canyon. That is far. That is far. And we'd 2 or 3 on a Saturday, the other 2 or 3 on a Sunday. We'd fish them all. It was great. And there were a lot of tackle stuff back then. There was bait up, save on tackle. We were way out to save on tackle to get micro jigs. That's the only place you can get micro jigs. There and Turner's out on Willow in Long Beach, up Cherry and Willow. For some reason, the owner of that Turner's knows the guy that makes those lures. That guy's old now because he was in his 30s, in the 80s. He's still making those. He never went mainstream though. It's a 132nd of an ounce jig head with a small. It's not micro jigs, not mini. It's not mini jigs. It's micro jigs. A one-man made project, and those were dynamite back then. We'd ride all the way down there and get those, save on tackle. That was about a 4.5, 5 hour turnaround trip on a bike. That was including stopping for lunch. But what kids do that these days? What kids do that? But it made us the people we are. You know, growing up like that, learning things on our own, made us the people we are. I've been backpacking where people say, oh, we ran into this, what do? We turn back. No. We use this to our advantage. We learned something for this. We make the best of what we got, and sometimes it turns out better than the original plan. That applies to life too. How can I turn this scrap into something cool? I turned this thing into something in 1983, 93, 2003, 2013, 40 years ago, and it's rebuilt. It's rose from the ashes, and it works. You saw it. Pretty cool. Anyway, my grandson will like that. And in the comments down below, if you've experienced anything like this, or you want to bring something up, it'd be cool to hear about how life was, and how different it is now. How different it is. We had a bunch of kids. I found some of them. John Arnold, and he used to live over there, and John West. I think John West passed away. Ernie passed away. Johnny passed away. Dale killed himself. Willie killed himself. There's a lot of them are gone, but they're all scattered 4 corners of the earth. But we used to meet up, and there was one girl that used to go with us. I forget her name. I think it was Anna Vargas, I think. And we'd all go, and her mom said, her mom I think she knew, but her mom would say, okay. She'd look at all of us. She was suspicious. Why all these guys going through? She'd spit on the step. You'd be back before that's dry or it's your ass. Okay, so we'd be playing somewhere, burning up time. It's probably getting close. Scissors, paper, rock. Okay, you lose. One of us would go back, get to the step, add to it, try to get it with a stick, try to blend it, and then jam again. Okay, we got another 45 minutes. And we talked to her later on. She said, I knew, but as long as one of you guys were coming back and I knew she was cool. I knew she was okay. She was taken care of. Oh, but we had such a good time. Things we did. And some of the stuff, if I told you we did, you would not believe it. But if I backpacked with you, or if I hiked with you, or camped with you, or fished with you, you probably heard about it anyway. And some of the replies back when they heard this stuff, one guy goes, well, most of them say, dude, you got to write a book. This stuff is awesome. And I do have it. I have it on there, but putting it together is another thing. But the stuff, it's just magic. And this is part of the magic. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see some other stuff I made that lamp too. I have a video on that lamp. It's East Fork lamp. I'll put a link to that in details down below. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, putting up with all this crap for all these years. It's really been something. My life has changed. You guys know I backpack and hike, and so a lot of you watching this probably do the same, or you're interested in the same. So this is why I want to add this in there. This video is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but I'm having fun. I made, on paper, in my head, me and this guy named Kevin Saldana. Okay, Kevin Saldana, we'd hike and fish. Lato Creek, a lot. Silverwood, all the... Hemet, Gregory, and he used to go to the Sierras a lot with his mom and dad. Kevin Saldana, he had a little brother too, looked just like him. Forget his name, but it was our plan. You know how like on that movie with Cher, and she had that one son that was deformed a little bit, mask. How him and his friend were like plotting and planning to do that trip. One day we're gonna do this trip. We're gonna drive here. And then this other guy just flaked on him, and he never ended up going. Well, Kevin Saldana and I, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, we're planning. We're gonna go to Sierras. We're gonna fish this lake. We're gonna fish this lake. We're gonna hike this fisherman's loop. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna backpack. And he had the outer frame, the old frame, out frame backpacks. And I made, and if I would have got a patent on it, even the teachers even said, dude, you need to get a patent on this. This, besides being a little bit on the heavy side, which now they could go with titanium, it would have been way lighter. If you go with this, you can make so much money. And I thought, yeah, I could. And no one, to this day on the market, somebody will after they see this, but no one in this market came up with this yet. It's cool. There's one that's like it though, but not as cool as mine. I took 3/4 by 3/4 angle iron, inch by inch angle iron, thin wall, cut them, made 4 legs, and then I took 1/2 by 1/2 steel. I made a frame, and I remember that frame was 7 by 10, or 7 by 6, no, 7 by 12. Outer dimensions. The outer dimension was 7 by 12, so 1/2 inch all the way. Before I 45'd it, before I welded those all together, I took hollow tubing, square tubing, flipped it up, and I scribed a line every inch. And then I took some calipers and in between, that's another thing that metal shop, he had cool tools. Nobody stole them. In between the inch, I put 1/2 inch, and I just scribed all the way down, both sides. Then I took a center drill, I drilled holes, both sides, and I drilled that 125. And then I got some 125 steel, stainless steel, and cut it all at 7 inches. No, 7 3/4 inches. 7 3/4 inches. The outer dimension was 7 inches. And then those tubes, I put them all, I mean, that round stock, I put them all in the holes, sandwiched it together, boom, welded it. Shh. Actually, I didn't weld it. Vince Marston welded it because he's a better welder. Shh. Shh. And so I had a frame with a grill, and they could spin, so you could clean them real easy. And then I put hinges. I made some hinges. I put hinges with the legs, and then the 4 legs. I thought, I'm going to fire on the ground. Why don't I build a tray underneath that's removable? So in case I'm on grass, I don't want to burn the grass. I got a tray. So I made this little tray, and the tray also worked at the top. Okay, it's so cool. It's hard to picture, but you got your 4 legs coming down. You got your frame at the top. These legs, they had flat ironed pieces of aluminum pop riveted to both sides, so the legs would fold together. One would fold, this side came all the way to the end. This side came 1 inch in and was down below the frame. This was even with the frame, this was down below the frame, so there's only ½ inch difference. And then these legs were ½ inch shorter, so they sit even, but this one could kick up and this one could kick over it and be flat like a briefcase. And then I made these 2 tops that could close like this, and they could open up like this, like a Coleman stove, and they'd be wind blocks, or boom boom, they could close up and you could fry on the top. So cool. And I used that thing. Bolsa Chica used to have fire rings. Newport used to have fire rings, and we used to go down there and kick out that barbecue and get some coals on it. Never failed. Somebody walking by, dude, where'd you get that? That is cool. Because we'd catch fish, bring them up there, grill them right on the grill. Dude, that is cool. And then it was self-contained too. These would close in. Oh, and you take that tray that held the coals off. You close this up, and that went underneath and sandwiched the legs. And then you had a pin that you could put in there. Little handle. It was cool. And I thought, we're gonna take this to Sierra's. It probably weighed 4 pounds, but it was cool. We're gonna take Sierra's. But after graduation, we decided let's put it off for a while. And I got a good job at Northrop. When I was 18, I got a job at Northrop ASD, Pico Rivera, working on the stealth bomber. And we were working 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. Then it went down to 6. But when it came time to go, he got a job. And he got a job, you'll remember this if you're my age, the Alaskan Pipeline. He got a job welding on the Alaskan Pipeline in 1987, 86, 87, 86. 2 years after graduation. In 1986, that guy was making $38 an hour starting as a welder on the pipeline. And then he went to underwater welding, and he got that underwater welding. I believe he jumped up to, in the late 80s, early 90s, I think his brother said he was making $160 an hour, and he'd work for 3 hours, decompress for 2 or 3 hours, come up. That guy's long, if he's still alive, he's long retired. Here I am still working. Damn it, Jim. So this is the lampshade I went with. Yeah, I'm already planning to give him a split bamboo fly rod too. So that's with the light on, that's with the light off. So you got your vertical height 6.5 inches. 4 inches at the top, 9 inches at the bottom. Perfect. That's what she said. It's perfect, and it goes with a regular bulb, so that'll be great. Look at that. That will be cool. That is the coolest lampshade I've ever seen, I think. Look at that. Anyway, Isaac, it's coming your way. I'll put a picture of Isaac right after this so you can check him out. It's my grandson.